This is Freddie.
And this is Emma.
And today what we're going to do is we're going to be opening a League Battle deck, which is primarily aimed for beginners, but at the same time we wanted to commemorate Zach Lesage's Players Cup 2 victory, which was which culminated this weekend. And it was based on a deck he piloted all the way through with a 15-1 match record. It was a Pikachu and Zekrom deck. So when we open this, it will actually be quite useful for us to share with you what kind of changes you can actually make to the League Battle deck, or a little bit beyond what the leaflets recommend, to try and make this really competitive.
In this complete deck, you'll find 3 Pokemon GX and a full set of supporting accessories to play a Lightning-type Blitz the way it should be played. Stunningly fast and extra effective.
Alright, fantastic. Well, without any more delay, let's go straight into it. So, this is actually a really nice entry-level deck to come into the game. It does have the customary Pokemon trading card game rules. It's very useful for us to delve into this, particularly this page, Partners of a Turn. If you are a beginner, whether you're a beginner or whether you're actually a more seasoned player, just to try and figure out what the sequencing is for a turn. We've got the League Battle deck recommendations, just to try and step it up. I'll just run through that. You can pause that if you wish to read through it. And on the back, we've actually got an inkling of what is inside the other League Battle deck that was released at the same time, which was Reshiram and Charizard GX. It's a good source of Welder and Giant Herb. Okay, what have we got in the box?
So first we have 6 dice, and we also have 1 big randomizer dice.
Okay, so the randomizer dice is black and yellow, just to match with the lightning theme that we have over here of Pikachu and Zekrom, so well chosen.
And we also have some burn and poison counters.
Okay.
And we also have on the other side a GX tag team marker.
Fantastic. All right. So customary markers there for you to play the game. Obviously, you'll need if you're playing with 2 people. If 2 people rather are playing, you'll need 2 of those.
Okay. And next we'll look at the GXs. So we've got a very pretty Alolan Raichu and Raichu GX.
Okay, so there's the Raichu and Alolan Raichu GX, and this is a very interesting attack. It's been talked about many times, but it's Tandem Shock. If this Pokemon was on the bench and becomes your active Pokemon this turn, it does 80 more damage, so that's 160 in total, and your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed, so that's the real clincher to try and swing the game your way. And Lightning Ride GX, it's almost as good as Tagbolt GX, especially if you are trying to switch the Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. If it's got at least 2 extra lightning energy attached to it, in addition to its attack does 100 more damage. A very aggressive attack. So if you want to try and swing the game towards your way, it's speed the game up to its conclusion, you can go for Raichu and Alolan Raichu GX. The other thing about that is that it's got 260 hit points, and a very popular card that you could consider combining with any of these GXs is Big Charm, which adds another 40. But you've got a lot of beefy attacks that are from GX Pokemon these days, and Alolan Raichu can stay in for at least a turn, take a hit, and then hit out again.
Okay, so this one we have 2 Pikachu and Zekrom GX tag teams.
So I really like the fact that they've got 2 Pikachu and Zekrom GXs. The tins that were released, the tin promos, the full art tin promos, are very popular. Quite hard to come by nowadays. And with that in mind, I am really happy to see Pikachu Zekrom GX has been released this way. It's a great time for beginners to actually get into the game and and access, see these cards in such an easy fashion. It's been quite some time since since that kind of a level of accessibility. So well done TPCI, thank you very much for that. Really appreciate that. It's got full blitz, and full blitz is just a huge accelerator because you've got search your deck for up to 3 lightning energy cards that turn, and attach them to one of your Pokemon and shuffle your deck. So you can actually thin your deck, which is fantastic. You've got 150 as a smack to the opponent's active, and you are then ready for Tag Bolt GX. Now, Tag Bolt GX's mainstay is 200, but if you then have those extra 3 lightning energy attached to your Pikachu Zekrom, you can then hit one of the bench Pokemon that your opponent has by 170 damage. And that is a fantastic advantage to have, particularly if you actually have, for example, an opponent with a bench Dedenne. You can potentially take 5 prizes that turn, which puts you in an extreme advantage. And I think that would probably be on the minds of Zach's opponents as they played him in the Players' Cup 2. So it's definitely one to watch.
And we've got 2 of them.
And we've got 2 of them. Now, what we're going to do is we're just going to go through. You do get a code. You get a code, so you'll be able to play the online game. And this is the deck box. It does say a deck box, but it is made of cardboard and it's a box, and it's got a deck in, so I guess it's a deck box. However, it does have some fantastic gems in here. The main one is Tapu Koko Prism. This was actually one of the Prism cards that did survive the Cold rotation, and is extra shiny, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Dance of the Ancients. It's actually very well centered, I must say, apart from the top. Once during your turn, before you attack, if this Pokemon's on your bench, you may choose 2 of your bench Pokemon and attach a lightning energy card from your discard pile to each of them. If you do, discard all cards from this Pokemon and put it in the Lost Zone. The Lost Zone is a mechanic that is now starting to fade out from the current game, but it is actually a very, very good card for this deck. So definitely you'd want to keep 1 Tapu Koko in the deck. You would only really need to have the Alolan Raichu, and 2 Pikachu Zekrom are sufficient as well. Now, we're just going to go through the trainer cards now. Fortunately, they've all been sorted in, just about, all been sorted. And you've got some Pokemon cards as well. We'll go through these in just a while. I'll pass over to Summer the energy cards, so she can go through the energy cards with you and the Pokemon that are included. And then what we'll go through is we'll go through the actual trainer count, and we'll finish off with some suggestions as to how this deck could actually be changed. That's an interesting one. Zapdos is actually in there. Zapdos was a holo, as were many of these other cards. So I'll pass that over to Summer while I sort out the trainers, and then I'll take you through those, and then we'll finish off with suggestions as to how to change them.
Okay, so the first one is Zapdos, and it is got 110 hit points, so it's a very strong basic Pokemon, and its attack is Thunderous Assault. If this Pokemon is on the bench and becomes your active Pokemon this turn, this attack does 70 more damage. This attack's damage isn't affected by weakness. So that is only for 1 energy, so you could get 80 damage in your first turn just for 1 energy, and it's got a very high hit points for a basic Pokemon, and I think that it is a very good Pokemon to have as a starter Pokemon in your active spot or in your bench spot to attack with first in this deck. And the second one that we've got
but you wouldn't want it to be in the starter position, would you?
Yeah. Unless you switch it.
Unless you play switch. And this deck does actually have quite a few switches in.
Okay, so the next one is Jirachi, and this is actually been in the game for a little while, and it's got a very good ability, and it is Stellar Wish. Once during your turn, before you attack, if this Pokemon is in your active is your active Pokemon, you may look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal a trainer card you find there and put it into your hand, then shuffle the other cards back into your deck, and this Pokemon is now asleep. So this was a very good card to play with a skateboard. But you can also use Switch now, because this Pikachu deck plays 4 Switch. So it is very good with the Jirachi. So all you do is just put the Jirachi in the active, you Stellar Wish, get any trainer card, and then you can just switch into another Jirachi or an attacking Pokemon or anything you want in the active spot, like a Zapdos. And then you just attack or stall with whatever Pokemon you put active.
That's a very good tactic, actually. And the switches are also very good as well. If you manage to start off with the Tapu Koko Prism, you could switch up with Zapdos. You can have your GX on the bench. You can do something to try and discard cards, particularly energy cards in the discard pile, and then you can trigger off your Tapu Koko, land 2 lightning onto your GX and immediately attack with Zapdos.
And we also play 4 Jirachi in this deck, so it is very good to immediately get a good hand and immediately start drawing and attacking faster than your opponent.
Now you've also got a tool which is Air Balloon, which reduces the retreat cost of Pokemon by 2, which is very, very useful for the Zapdos. At a pinch, you could attach it to the Tapu Koko, and if you really, really needed to switch back in the first turn, you've also got, and this would not be your first turn as player 1, because obviously you can't play supporters in the first turn, but you would actually be able to use Mallow Lana as the second player going second. You'll be able to switch your active Pokemon. So there's plenty of scope for hitting and running.
And also you can use the Air Balloon for the Raichu and Alolan Raichu, because it's got 2 retreat costs.
That is true, because what you'd want to do is you would want to try and get the Raichu back, if you do have it as your active Pokemon, and try and get it back onto your bench, because you want to try and be attacking with Pikachu Zekrom very, very quickly. Zach Lesage played 2 versions of Air Balloon in his winning deck, and he did actually play a full set of 4 Switch in his winning deck as well.
Okay, so the next Pokemon that we are going to look at is called Hoopa, and this is a very good card, not just in Pikachu Zekrom, but also in any deck, even if it's not a darkness deck, because its attacks are colourless, so you can use any energy to attack. And it's also got 130 hit points, which is quite an annoying Pokemon to knock out, especially because most Pokemon do 120 damage. So its first attack for 1 colourless is called Evil Admonition. This attack does 20 more damage for each of your opponent's Pokemon that has an ability. So this is also very good against Jirachis, because Jirachis obviously have the Stellar Wish ability, and if your opponent has 2 or maybe even 3 Jirachis, because most decks play 4, then you're just doing a straight 50 damage with 1 colourless energy. And the second attack, if you needed to use it, was Mind Shock for 3 colourless. It does 80 damage, and this attack's damage isn't affected by weakness or resistance. So most of the time you'll be using the first attack, but you should also keep in mind that Mind Shock does 80 damage, so it is also very good just to quickly finish off a GX or a tag or a V or a VMAX or anything like that.
So the actual deck comes with a pair of Tag Switch, which would be able to trigger off Hoopa's Mind Shock if you really wanted to do that, and also 2 Energy Switch as well. Now, Zach actually played a pair of Energy Switch in his tournament-winning deck, but he opted out of playing the Tag Switch, and I think the reason why is because he actually went for a slightly more elaborate tactic. He actually maxed out on 4 Crushing Hammers, and he also played a Team Yell Grunt, and the reason being that it was actually just that's actually really effective against ADP decks, and also stunts the growth of Eternatus VMAX as they try desperately to set up. Hoopa is actually very, very good against both of those decks as well. So until you actually have a chance to acquire Crushing Hammers and Team Yell Grunts, it's still a good Pokemon to have in your deck.
Okay, so the next Pokemon that we have is a very cute Apon. So this Apon is not seen in all Pikachu decks, but it is a very good, it has a very good first attack, and the first attack is called Yank Out, and it's for 1 energy, and it is discard random cards from your opponent's hand until they have 5 cards in their hand. So I think this is mostly used about middle game, or maybe at the start, if your opponent has a very big hand, or if they've just researched or deneged, because then you just discard random cards and they're like, what do? I only have 5 cards in my hand. So it is very good to, if you've not got a very good setup, you can stall with the Apon and just keep discarding your opponent's hand until they have 5 cards in their hand.
So this is without Bellelba and Bryson Man in the format. This card is very, very strong because it would help against stall decks as well. And this is a promo card too, so it's this was really the only way in which you can actually get this card. I really like this card because of late game Yank Out, but it's a different strategy altogether. It's a different strategy altogether to try and burn your opponent's deck and discard all of their options. But this is why I was hesitant on purchasing the actual League Battle deck, but I do like those strategies anyway, and that's the only way in which we can actually get a hold of Apon.
Okay, so the next one is an Electros, I think that's how you say it, and the ability is Electric Swamp. Once during your turn before you attack, if this Pokemon is in your hand and you have at least 4 Lightning Energy cards in play, you may play this Pokemon onto your bench. If you do, move any number of Lightning Energy from your other Pokemon to this Pokemon. So this is a surprise Pokemon, that you can use maybe at the end of the game just to quickly finish off your opponent's Pokemon to get your last prizes. And you just play Electric Swamp, and you move energy onto the Electros, and then you can just use Hover Over, which is its attack. It is 130, and the defending Pokemon can't retreat during your opponent's next turn. So it is quite a lot of damage for a Pokemon just to put it on your bench, move energy to it, and just attack straight away. So it is very good to just quickly surprise your opponent, knock their Pokemon out, and win the game when they don't think that you can. So it's very good.
And it's good to get around any Pokemon that have safeguard abilities as well. So if you can't attack using your GX or your V, and they're stalling with something like Altaria from Champion's Path, you just lay the Electros, play the Electros. So I've actually seen that in a few lists. Zach didn't play that. Zach played this card, I believe, which was Vikavolt V with its Paralyzing Bolt. For 50, you can prevent your opponent from playing item cards. It's a very, very strong attack. And if you really wanted to, you could play Super Zap Cannon as well. Very strong substitute for the Electros.
And then we have 11 basic Lightning Energy. And some people may think that this is a lot, but actually Pikachu and Zekrom decks need quite a lot of Lightning Energy because you're using the attack of the Pikachu and Zekrom, which is full Blitz, and you're getting 3 energy onto one Pokemon. And a lot of these Pokemon need at least 3 energy, like the Raichu and the Pikachu. They need 3 energy to attack, and their attacks are usually big. So as soon as you get the energy into play, you're just in a good chance to win the game because you're just attacking one after the other, and you're just knocking your opponent's Pokemon out one after the other. So it's very good to have a lot of energy in this deck to keep your Pokemon powered up.
So the actual deck box has 2 Erica's Hospitality and 1 Rotom Bite. Now, Rotom Bite is not a very popular card because simple fact that it ends your turn, but it is an item, particularly if you have just been subjected to a reset stamp. Erica's Hospitality draws a card, but you only have, for each of your opponent's Pokemon in play, but you can only play this card only if you have 4 or fewer other cards in your deck. And what you'll actually find is that your hand is full of cards with 5 or 6. So these 2 perhaps are a little bit redundant, and what Zach played was 3 speed energy with the ability to be attached and be a lightning energy, but also draw 2 cards at the same time. So these two supporters and this 1 trainer can be substituted out quite well.
Okay, so now I'm just going to go through some substitute Pokemon that could be added into this deck to make it a bit better. So the first one is a Crowbar V, and this is a very popular card in the standard metagame, and its ability is Dial Cassette. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench during your turn, you may draw cards until you have 6 cards in your hand, and you can't use more than 1 Dark Cassette during your turn. So this is a very good card to draw because we know that you have a lot of attackers, but sometimes when you have Pikachu, you need draw to get the energies and the support Pokemon and the items and supporters. So it's also very good to have draw Pokemon as well as aggressive attack Pokemon. And so that's why you may want to substitute some cards for a Crow Battle too.
So the theme the running theme going through Zach's deck was to try and set up as quickly as possible. He also played 2 Bolton V, which again accelerated energy straight away. So really, when you're attacking from turn 1, turn 2, turn 1 obviously if you play it 2. You don't need to then have little additions like Vitality Band, which is in the box, adds an extra 10 damage. But the effectiveness of something like Vitality Band would be something that would be applied over a number of turns. So you'd need to have like 2 or 3 or 4 turns just to have that extra 40. Whereas what you can do with the Pikachu deck is you can actually set everything up as quickly as possible and then just get 1 attack, 2 attacks, and then simply everything becomes a 2-hit KO, whatever your opponent is presenting.
Okay, so our next Pokemon is Mewtwo and Mewtwo GX. So some people think that the Pikachu, it's got a very high attack damage, but it's actually only got 240 HP, which can easily be knocked out by a Zacian V if they use maybe like an item or supporter that boosts their damage output.
Like Vitality Band.
Yeah, like Vitality Band. So if you use the Mewtwo Mew, which its ability is called Perfection, this Pokemon can use the attacks of any Pokemon GX or Pokemon EX on your bench or in your discard pile, and you still need the necessary energy there. So it's got 270 HP, which is higher than the Pikachu. So you can still use the full Blitz and the Tagbolt GX, but you have a higher HP, so it might not get knocked out as easily as the Pikachu or even the Raichu.
And if you were forced to attack with, or if you were forced to set up right at the very beginning with Professor's Research, and there are 3 of these cards that are in the deck box, and Zach also played with 3, so it's just the right number. If you're forced to attack with that, later stage, you need to be if you need to set up and you have to discard your Raichu Alolan Raichu, the Mewtwo Mew enables you to attack later on using the Raichu Alolan Raichu attacks as well.
Yeah, and also the Mewtwo Mew could be useful if you get one of those annoying little fighting box decks. And you can just use the Mewtwo Mew, which is not weak to fighting, so that might be helpful.
Yeah, it's not a Pokemon that can actually be ignored. As soon as it's on your bench, it's just another annoying thing for your opponent to deal with. So how else can we actually set up? What can we do to improve?
So this is a bit like the Crowbar, except it's the Dedenne GX, and its ability is Dead Change. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench during your turn, you may discard your hand and draw 6 cards, and you can't use more than one Dead Change in a turn. So this is like the Crowbat. So you have lots of attack Pokemon, lots of aggressive Pokemon, but you don't have much draw Pokemon to set up. So you'd use this Dedenne to just draw, discard your hand, draw. It's a bit like Research, but you can use Research and Dedenne in one turn, which is what you do quite often when you play Pokemon and Dedenne. And
what can also be done is you can actually discard the lightning cards into your discard pile using Searchlight electromagnetic radar. So Zach actually cut this down to 2, but what he then did was he actually played with 4 quick balls to find that Dedenne GX in the first turn. And the quick balls also enable you to search for any basic Pokemon and put them straight into your hand as well, which is very, very useful late game. However, he did seem to cut out Ordinary Rod, and Ordinary Rod is only useful if you find it at the right time during the latter part of the game. So 2 Ordinary Rod are in the box, but again, what he wanted to do is he wanted to effectively beat down his opponent. And if his opponent did have a chance to try and set up, he would have played Crushing Hammers and Team Yell Grunt. And at the same time, what he also would have done is he would have hunted down any threats on the bench that were being set up using his 3 Bosses order as well. Now, Bosses order was not in the deck box, but it is in the player's box that you can actually acquire.
Okay, so our next Pokemon is an Eldegoss. And sometimes, I'm going to go through the ability first. So it's called Happy Match. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench during your turn, you may put a supporter card from your discard pile into your hand. So the supporters that this deck uses is Professor's Research, Erica's Hospitality, and Marnie. But you can also put in Boss's Orders and Team Yell Grunt. And Boss's Orders is like a Lysander, so you just pick one of your opponent's bench Pokemon and bring it to the active spot, and you can just knock it out and with your Pikachu, Zekrom, and your Raichu. So it's a very good card. And you can also use the float up if you wanted to, and you may put this card and you may shuffle this card, this Pokemon, and all cards attached to it into your deck, so you can reuse these Eldegoss, and it also does 50 damage.
So the actual deck box comes with 4 Pokegear 3. They are very staple to have in a collection for a person seriously thinking about entering the game and playing very, very effectively. But it only comes with 2 Marnie, so you'd be tempted to acquire more Marnie through the player's beginner's box that is available. And also, you could, in fact, get the Zacian V League Battle deck, which also contains Boss's Orders, and then just cut out the Pokegear entirely, because if you're actually trying to find a supporter to refresh your hand, you might as well just play the supporter and play something else with the extra 2 spaces that you actually have. So I would consider upping the Marnie and just eventually eliminating all of the Pokegear. And to disrupt your opponent, you can play these 2 reset stamps. So you've got your opponent shuffling their hand into the deck and drawing a card for each of the remaining prize cards, which isn't too bad. unless you're up against a very, very aggressive opponent. But if you're up against a very aggressive deck from your opponent, their prizes are going to be down anyway. So this is the ultimate disruption for them. You can play those 2 reset stamps, and Zach also played 2 reset stamps as well. The actual box itself contains 3 Pokemon communication. However, if you're using and maxing out on Quick Ball, you won't need to have these communications, because you can just play your Dedenne or your Crobat straight away, and the communication are a little bit of a dead card when it's late game. You want to actually have something else in there that perhaps it could be a final Quick Ball to get an Eldegoss to then get the final boss's order. And that's about it. The only thing that's actually missing in this deck as well, and I guess the 61st card that would be in there without the rotation, would be a stadium, to have actually a Thunder Mountain in there, but Thunder Mountain's been rotated out, sadly. Zach played 2 Chaotic Swell along with his 10 Lightning Energy and 3 Speed Energy. And Chaotic Swell is just effectively, well, if your opponent tries to play 1 stadium and then 2, it's like you force your opponent to play 3 counter stadiums to just get rid of Chaotic Swell, and by the time they've actually played the 3rd counter stadium, it's pretty late for them anyway. He also played 1 Cherish Ball as well, and that kind of rounds off the list. So really what he was trying to do was just trying to get the basic Pokemon as quickly as possible. That's his actual list to enable you. So if you really need to pause the video, you can do. I would definitely take it to that level. Okay, but thank you very much. I hope that you've enjoyed our little tour through the League Battle deck. If you haven't considered purchasing it, why not? I think, why not go for it? And once you get a little bit restless about attacking with Pikachu and Zekrom, you can get rid of all these cards and then centre a deck around Apon, which is, I think, the best card in here.
And the cutest.
And the cutest. That's bye from me. Freddie?
Bye from Summer.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.